Hello. I wanted to go through some functionality added in version 4.29, our December 2019 release, specifically around batch entry and looking up lots that are going into a batch. One of the requests that we had was to see additional information about the lot during lot selection. So prior to this release, you saw basically all these columns, lot number, all the way through expiration date. This was in the previous release. What we added is for a variable number of pieces of data that can be shown on the lot selection screen. The idea is to help you pick which lot you want to use on a batch. This is particularly for companies that pre-assign or pre-select lots to a batch prior to production. So you can see what's going on with that particular lot that you're putting onto a batch. Now, this is actually controlled through component setup. So each component can have a different set of data that's showing on the lot selection screen. In this case, we're leveraging the attribute section of component entry. So in attributes, I've got a bunch of attributes in my demo database. I've got various attributes that are defined here, and they can be really any attribute type. In this case, this is a text, and I just check the box here saying enable the attribute on component lots. So basically what we're saying is there's data that we want to track at the lot level for this particular attribute. So that when I do a receipt of inventory, a lot into inventory, I can prescribe or define the values on a lot by lot basis. So I'm basically just turning this on saying I want to track this information about inbound lots. Now, the recording of this lot information can happen two different ways. There's a manual way, in other words, not through QC, that allows you to simply come in and identify the lot. So you've already done a PO receipt, you've got the lot into inventory, and now what we're doing is we're picking the lot. And these are the attributes that we have defined for this particular item, and then I can fill in those values. The system understands what the attribute type is, so it's doing some masking on the data. So you can simply enter the data on a lot-by-lot basis here, and you may have different fields depending on what the component ID is. So just note that we can really dial this in by component, by inventory item or ingredient itself, and identify which data you want. And so kind of back to what we were talking about in the attribute setup, this is where you turn it on. Now, the second way you could enter data is through a QC test. So, for example, on my pH, I can tie this attribute value to this QC test of pH. Therefore, if I'm in if I'm in quality sample entry, that I go in and I receive a lot, so I actually do inbound raw material QC tests, so DCRMO2, we'll just pull that item up, and we'll go ahead and grab that same lot number. So we can define tests for this. Here's the pH test. When I enter a result here, the system will go and update or pass that into the lot attribute itself. It'll write it into that table, so I don't have to go and do that myself. And I can also go here and just say update all the lot attributes as well. There's your update lot attribute for a single lot attribute. And when I save that, it'll just go and write to that table. So in some cases, I'm doing the test myself, and I want to put that test into the QC test value. And in other cases, I want to simply add it manually because I don't want to go through QC. Maybe I'm simply picking it up off of the C of A value, or maybe it's not a tested value itself that I want to apply. In either case, whether I enter this through QC entry or whether I enter it manually, the result is the same, that I end up with showing data. These columns are specific by component, so some components will have some columns and others will have others, and I'm showing that data that's in that component lot attribute table. Anyway, we hope that helps, and look forward to getting your feedback.